We are facing a massive global food crisis. But what if one of the biggest solutions wasn't some new invention, but something that's been hiding right under our feet this whole time? In this explainer, we're going to uncover an ancient natural alliance. And get this, it's getting a huge boost from a place you'd probably never expect, a government rulebook. Let's see how these two could team up to help secure our future. First things first, let's just get a handle on the problem. Drought isn't just a local weather report anymore. It's a huge global threat. Climate change is cranking up its frequency and its severity, and that's putting incredible pressure on agriculture and our ability to feed everyone.
So, that brings us to the big, scary question we have to answer. With less and less predictable rainfall and way more water stress, how exactly are we going to feed a growing population on a planet that's getting drier by the day? The old ways of doing things, they just might not cut it anymore. Okay, so check this out. This is where it gets really interesting. A recent study in Kenya found that even in the middle of a severe drought, some farmers boosted their maize yields by a whopping 40%. I mean, how is that even possible?
And believe me, this wasn't just a one-off thing. Over in Brazil, a totally different study saw soybean yields jump by 30%, again during a drought. We're not talking about small changes here. These are absolute game changers. So what is the secret weapon?
Well, the answer isn't some fancy new chemical or some high-tech drone. It's an ancient, super powerful alliance with a kingdom of life we totally take for granted: fungi. Specifically, a very special group of fungi that forms a deep, symbiotic relationship with plants.
So say hello to our unseen ally, mycorrhizal fungi. And this is not some new lab-grown invention. We're talking about a natural partnership that's been around for hundreds of millions of years. It connects with the roots of over 90% of all plant species on Earth. It's everywhere. So how does it all work? Well, it's actually a pretty simple and frankly brilliant deal. The fungi literally plug into the plant's roots. Then they build out this massive underground web of tiny little threads. Through this network, the fungi are just incredible at sniffing out scarce water and nutrients, stuff the plant is desperate for. And they trade all that good stuff to the plant in exchange for some of the sugars the plant makes from sunlight. What this network basically does is act like a massive extension of the plant's own root system. And I'm not talking about a small boost. It's like giving the plant a root system that's hundreds, sometimes thousands of times larger.
So, what does that actually mean for a farmer? Well, when you run the numbers, crops that get a helping hand from these fungi show, on average, a 20 to 30% boost in drought tolerance. That means they can survive longer and keep producing even when the water runs low. That is huge.
All right, so we've got this incredible natural solution. The science is solid. But, that brings us to the next big hurdle. How do you actually take this amazing thing happening in nature and turn it into a reliable product that farmers can buy off the shelf?
Yeah, and you've got to ask, right? If these fungi are so effective, why isn't every single farm on the planet using them? Why aren't we rolling this out everywhere?
Well, the reason is that there's this huge gap between a cool scientific discovery and an actual commercial product. For a farmer to spend their hard-earned money on something, they need to know it's safe, that it's actually going to work, and that the bag they buy today is the same as the one they buy next year. You need to build a bridge of trust from the lab to the field. And that bridge, you're not going to believe what it's made of. It's built out of regulation. Yeah, a clear, well-thought-out legal framework, like the one Europe just put in place, is exactly what's needed to bring this solution to the masses.
So on one side of the coin, you have the raw, incredible power of nature itself, right? We're talking about these complex soil ecosystems where fungi and plants have been working together for millennia, creating these amazingly resilient systems.
And then, on the other side, you've got the reality of our modern world. We need an organized, reliable market, a system with a common set of rules that makes sure any product being sold is safe, that it does what it says it does, and that farmers in Spain can trust it just as much as farmers in Poland.
And that is exactly where the EU's new Fertilizing Products Regulation, or FPR, comes into play. The easiest way to think about it is as the official rulebook for the market. It's designed to create one single, clear set of standards for all products that help plants grow, especially these new, innovative biological ones. And hidden inside that rulebook is a truly game-changing new definition. They created a brand new legal category called a plant biostimulant. Now listen to the wording here. A product that improves a plant's tolerance to abiotic stress, like drought. That little phrase is the legal key that unlocks the door for our fungi. So this regulation organizes everything into these neat little boxes, these categories. You've got your normal stuff like fertilizers and soil improvers. But look there, at PFC 6, that's the new kid on the block, plant biostimulant. Just by creating this official category, the law gives our mycorrhizal fungi a legitimate home, a recognized place on the market.
And really, that's the whole point. By creating this plant biostimulant category, this regulation finally builds that bridge we were talking about. It creates an official, safe, and legal path for companies to develop these amazing fungal products and get them into the hands of millions of farmers.
So this all brings us to the big idea of this whole explainer. It's this powerful concept that real world-changing progress often happens right where natural innovation meets smart regulation.
I mean, think about the journey we just went on. We started with a huge threat, global drought. We found a powerful, ancient solution hiding in the soil. And then we saw how smart, clear rules can act as that vital bridge, letting that natural solution get out of the lab and into the field, safely and at a massive scale.
And it really all boils down to this one powerful thought. If we're going to solve our biggest challenges, food security, climate change, you name it, we can't just count on that eureka moment in the lab. We also need the boring but essential stuff, the frameworks and the rulebooks that allow those breakthroughs to actually go out and change the world.
Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. When we look at the future of food, is the next big breakthrough going to be grown in the soil? Or is it going to be written in a rule book? You know, maybe the real answer is that you can't have one without the other.